Welcome to Texas Watchdog's Ustream video that we do. It's called Backstory. I'm Lynn Walsh. I'm a video journalist here at Texas Watchdog. And here, basically, we're just going to explain to you how we get from starting a story to the actual published story. And today we're going to talk about the HISD travel story, which we broke about a couple weeks ago now, and we've been doing follow-up stories ever since. And first, if you're just now joining us, you are joining us here most likely on our website. You're watching us in the upper right-hand corner of our video player. You also may be joining us from the Ustream channel. Either way, we're glad you're with us, and if you have questions, feel free to chat with us, or also you can contact us on Twitter, just at Texas Watchdog, or at L Walsh. And now we're going to go ahead and get started. The travel story that I'm referring to is right here on the Texas Watchdog page, and afterward we will also do a blog post with this video and links so you can find more information. Basically, what we found, me and a fellow reporter here at Texas Watchdog, Steve Miller, we sorted through piles and piles of travel documents that were over at the HISD headquarters here in Houston, and HISD is the Houston Independent School District. And now the story didn't just come out of nowhere, actually. It started almost a little more, I would say, a year ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, when Steve Miller and also Jennifer Peebles, an editor here at Texas Watchdog, put in a request for the procurement or P-card database of different employees at HISD who have access to these. Now, the procurement cards, or P-cards, they're a form of credit card that different employees have access to and can use to go get things from Office Depot or things from Office Max or Staples or anything like that. Now, after going through those databases, a story that Steve Miller wrote back in October of last year was on how the Houston Independent School District issues credit cards to employees with bankruptcies. Now, this story was just kind of the kickoff to the travel story. After looking at the different things that people would buy with the credit cards, with these P cards, Steve then had an idea to look at the travel that, specifically airfare, that Houston Independent School District spends for their employees. And now, one reason why we also here at Texas Watchdog were interested in this is that most of the travel is being paid for by taxpayer dollars or public money. So it's my money, it's your money, it's people in Texas, it's their money. And what we did then is we put in, or Steve submitted a public information request and basically asked for travel records for a period of 3 years. Follow how you can file the Texas Public Information Act request. There's more information on the Texas Attorney General's webpage. There also, and let me pull that up for you real quick here, the Texas Attorney General's website, and also the Freedom Information Foundation of Texas is a great resource as well if you need help, or you can contact us at any time as well. TexasWatchdog.org has a lot of our contact information. Feel free to send Twitter messages to us or any of the employees here. And once that public information request was filed, Steve received an email or a call back from their public information officer, and me and Steve went over to the HISD headquarters. And when we got there, there were probably at least 10, probably maybe a little more than 10, boxes of documents. And they were just documents just like this, pages and pages of just different documents all boxed up. And what we did is, now when you make a request, if you want to take those documents with you from a government agency, you do have to, there is a charge for that, normally 10 cents a copy. So when there are 10 boxes, obviously that adds up to a lot of money. What we had to do is, me and Steve went about a period of, I would say almost a month, several times a week, and just sorted through these boxes. And this is an example of something that we did. We would flag them with Post-its, and we would mark pages that we wanted copied. After we were done going through all the boxes, we then told the public information officer if we could have copies of everything that we flagged. They then told us how much it would cost. We write them a check, and we get the documents in our hands. And this stack that you can see next to me is just actually the beginning of what we requested. We then went back through and flagged again for our story. And I did want to show you just an example. After we did the examples of the documents, which are right here, we then began writing the story. And as we're writing the story, questions came up. Some of the questions include, you know, okay, is there a travel policy in HISD? If so, what does it say? Also, who is responsible for scheduling these flights? And is there one person? Are there two people? Are there more than that? We also came across different fees that we saw, which are pointed out in the article also. HISD uses a travel agency called Advantage Travel to book a big percentage of their flights, you know, and each time that flight is booked, there's a $30 fee. That raised questions. So Steve and I began calling different people throughout the district trying to get these answers. We also, in order to get some of the answers, were told to submit public information requests. And I can show you examples of what this is from my email. These are just different examples here that we made for different employees that may have been involved in travel limits. Also different other details as far as what the travel policy actually is, any kind of other things that they might use to travel, or reasons why they might be flying instead of driving. We received that information and are actually still receiving some of it currently. And that was basically how we got to our first story. And if you've read our first story, you can also see that there are still some questions that we were not sure. We are still looking for some of those answers, and part of that is waiting on some public information requests to come back. Part of it also is trying to find different contacts over at HISD to get those answers. Basically, the story is something that I think sometimes, you know, it didn't just come out of nowhere, and it also was a lot of searching, a lot of calculating. I actually sat here one day and was calculating these in particular, which are the statement of accounts, and was just using Post-its to mark down in each year how many times they might have traveled between Austin and Houston. And that's how we got those calculations. It was by physically going through these documents, writing them down on a separate sheet of, I used Post-its, you could use paper, you could use anything you want, and basically calculating how many times different people took trips, how many times those trips were taken within the 200-mile limit, which according to HISD's policy says that, you know, they highly recommend that if the distance is less than 200 miles, that you drive and not fly. So we were calculating those. And it did take a lot of searching, and really it takes a lot of time to go through all those documents. One thing that we also did was we also did call Advantage Travel, and we tried to reach out to different people that we were writing about in the story or that we found in these documents. And that is just one example. Our second story, which I'll show you here, talks a little bit more about that. And here, oops, sorry, it's right here. This was a follow-up story that we did, and basically we were trying to get comment from Superintendent Terry Greer on, you know, what the district's policy is and if he's read our story. And you can see that video. It's actually down here on the bottom of the page, and again, I'll post this link as well. And so after we had the information, it was then a series of follow-up interviews that we are still currently working on. And that actually about does it for how this travel story came about. There are also, you know, lots of other different smaller things that came into play, but that just gives you a look, sort of a wide open look at how the travel story came about, how it got from, you know, the documents over at the HISD headquarters to the documents in our office to the actual story, and then the documents that we actually posted for you to view online. If you have any questions about this story or how a story like this might look in your state, in your city, in your county, feel free to contact us. Again, our information is on the website. You can also contact us on Twitter. You can contact me on Twitter, any of the other employees on Twitter, or email. And thank you for joining us, and good luck looking at lots of documents.